This week's Parshas is Parshas Acharei Kedoshim, and this week's video is sponsored in honor of Shimon Rekant's bar mitzvah, and it should be a schus for him, his parents, and all of Klal Yisrael. In this week, we have one of the most famous pesukim in the entire Torah, V'ahavta l'recha kamecha. You shall love your fellow Jew like yourself. And Rashi quotes the famous memra of Rebbe Akiva that says, Ze klal goda b'Torah. This is the biggest rule. This is a big rule in the Torah. And the question is, how is it possible for a person to get to a level of loving his friend like himself? Naturally, we are all born selfish, that we all have to look out for ourselves. So how is it possible to get to that madrega of becoming so selfless that we could care for another person as if they were ourselves? How is it possible? So the Medrash relates a mashal of a bunch of people that were traveling on a passenger cruise ship across the ocean. And in the middle of the journey, one of the passengers takes out a drill from his suitcase and starts drilling into the hull of the boat. And all of a sudden, water starts seeping in. The passengers notice what's going on, and they say, "What are you doing? Why are you drilling a hole in the boat?" And he says, "It's not your business. I'm drilling under my seat. It's nothing to do with you." They say, "You fool. Yes, it's under your seat, and that's where it happens. That's where the hole happens to be. But at the end of the day, the water's going to come in and drown all of us. So you're affecting every single other person on this boat, not just yourself." The nimshal is that although we are in separate bodies, we are separate people. Klal Yisrael is Am Echad. We are one nation. We are one unit. And anything that one person does affects the other person. We could affect the madrega of the entire Klal Yisrael as a whole by just doing our own thing. We would think, I'm doing my own private thing in my own house. Nobody has to know. It's not anybody's business. It is. We are all one unit. We are Kol Yisrael, Revim Zel Zeh. We all have to care for each other and bring each other up as opposed to bringing each other down. Because each one of us has the power to affect every single Yid in Klal Yisrael. Just as if a person's cutting some potatoes on a cutting board, and the knife cuts his left hand. The left hand's not going to get upset at the right hand and start cutting it back because it's one body, it's one unit. So too Klal Yisrael, it's as if we are one body. We have to realize that we all have to care for each other. And especially in these days, the Yemei HaSfira, we're the Talmidim of Rebbe Akiva, we're giants of the generation, so they for sure had the ability to affect the madrega, the level of the entire generation. And what's the reason that they were wiped out, that they all died out? They didn't care for one each other, they didn't have respect for each other. Rabbi say we have to care for each other. We're in the time of Sfira, we're in the time of Golus, that in order to get out, we need to be there for each other and utilize the V'ahavta l'recha kamecha, to love each person like yourself because they are yourself. We are all one. We're all one unit. And we should talk about to see the coming of Mashiach Zakenu B'Her V'Meinu. Amen. Have a beautiful Shabbat.